Hey, hi, and welcome back to another haphazard production by Lance Renard, me, in the Roadkill Cafe, where fresh off the grill will always mean two different things. And today I began to work on my downloading, and as usually got semi-distracted and into an entirely other mindset because I was working on lithography and the details of printing. And when you look up lithography, I'm sure I've got it somewhere, history of lithography was invented around 1796 in Germany by an otherwise unknown Bavarian playwright, Alois Senefelder, who accidentally discovered that he could duplicate his scripts by writing them. You're kidding me. Okay, whatever you say, he was the first, but duplicate his scripts by accidentally writing them on greasy crayon on slabs of limestone and then printing them rolled on ink. Okay, he accidentally discovered that. Anyway, apologize. Ancient lithography, or ancient lithographs, well, I might as well get into my video presentation. These are modern lithographs, but they're done on plates, they're done on metal that has been etched with acid. Just going to show a few images of what we all would like in our basements and living rooms and anywhere. The process and history of lithography and the history of things, you've seen some of these if you saw my last video. But this is cool because it is obviously, see, now limestone can be etched with basically hydrogen peroxide. And so if you have a cutting that you place on top of a piece of rock, limestone, smooth limestone rock, that cutting, etching, the process of etching, I'm not going to totally get into here. But what my curiosity was as I began to download images and become totally distracted, is the value of lithography in the history of mankind, who really made things. And I started running into this guy a lot. And his lithography, Benjamin Franklin, good old Ben. Who doesn't love Ben Franklin? Everybody knows a lot about Ben Franklin. Every time I bring Ben Franklin up, somebody tells me a historical fact about him, and it's interesting how we know and have been trained and taught and educated. This is another lithograph. I'm looking at the date. It was done with mayonnaise, apparently. 1826. Oh, no, that's somebody's name. My mistake. I'm not really sure. I can't read the name that well. Okay, somebody can get back to me. I apologize for that long time gap. But once again, he hung out with the Britons. He'd go over to Britain every once in a while and hang out, and they'd put vegetables on his head, all fruit, and hand him flowers and tell him what a great guy he was and how cool his outfits were. Pretty nice outfit, but the guy in the background there, that's pretty sweet, man. I wouldn't mind having that. Let's bring that back. What do you say, gang? Bring it back! And so as I studied Benjamin Franklin and some of the amazing things that he's done, I also ran across a lot of the money that he actually made. And this is some. And I started looking at the dates of this cash, and if I back off, well, you can see it says $40, $35. Interesting, a $35 bill. Lithographs made by Ben Franklin. And in 1779, $50 looked like this. $60 bill, a $75 bill. So my research on lithography kind of started turning into more research on Mr. Franklin and the fact that he was the Federal Reserve back in the day. Curiosity, I never heard about anything like that. In my lessons about Benjamin Franklin, and apparently neither is anyone else, because people are all giving me these facts about Benjamin Franklin, and a few of those are going to be coming up in a minute. These are lithographs, 2-cell poisons, and pretty nice. I think they're pretty cool. And maybe I should not be so negative with the whole poison thing. Maybe they were just pharmaceutical medicines. This is something Benjamin Franklin created, and these are glass bowls, each one making a different tone. This wheel is spun by the foot pedal down below being pushed, and this spins around, the glass spins, and you put your fingers on it, and when they're wet, and it's a beautiful piece, and then you just play music on it. Wouldn't want to drop that. A little more lithography, and that's pretty cool. A transference of sheet music, and my son could probably understand, or actually does, all of that. I might be a songwriter, but I'm not a composer by the standard terms of composition. Some of the interesting and detailed lithography that I ran across, that it was colored and coloration. And the cool thing about these old pieces is the historical details and people that are looking at different things. And there are quite a variety. This is a Chinese cutting. And you can see that, this could easily be inked and printed. Basically, they would just get the stone itself wet. And then the oily ink that was put on wouldn't stick. It would only stick to the paper. This is some more lithography. And the front and backs are blank at this point. And as I started studying about Benjamin Franklin and all of his work being the Federal Reserve, then I started thinking, man, this guy has done a ton of things in his life. I mean, Ben Franklin's inventions, and he apparently, electricity wasn't here before Ben Franklin told us about it. But I know I'm putting that in some relatively obscure terms, but if you take a quick look at some of these inventions, apprenticed with his brother James in 1718 in Boston. He invented the stove. What? Okay. In 1728, he opens a printing office in Philadelphia. 1728, printing office. And he retires from printing at 1748, so he did that for 20 years. And founds the first public library. Thank you for that, Ben. Nobody had books in one spot prior to that. That's good. It's good he did that. The odometer was invented by him. The lightning rod experiment with a kite was invented by him. Just points of consideration in our academic, society research details, and look at what you consider to be possible. Became a vegetarian to buy more books. Well, if I become a vegetarian, then I can buy more books. Timeline, other achievements. Well, you go ahead and take a look at these details. I'm not going to vocalize and verbalize each one of them, but I will ask you to consider the extreme amount of things he has done in his life, or I hate to say told we were done, or we were told he had done in his life. But once again, we're here to question things. We're not here to doubt everything, but to put things into a timeline perspective. And the reality that we see, $1 trillion bill. Oh, Mr. Perry, he's got it going on. I'll take a couple of those $1 trillion bills and, pass them out to people because it's garbage. And what's true and genuine and worth, that's what's important for us. But who am I to say? Another old lithography press, the Marioni. It's a stock illustration of a rotary printing press. And that seems fairly obvious. The different ways that this printing is done. You can take a class on it right here at this time and place, so have fun with that. Lithography, many different ways. It started out with stone and progressed, and this is a little bit more of Ben Franklin's 13 rules: temperance, silence, order, resolution. Resolve to perform what you ought. Perform without fail what you resolve. Well done. Well done, good man. Frugality, industry, sincerity, justice, moderation, cleanliness, tranquility, chastity, and humility. Imitate Jesus and the Socrates and Socrates. Jesus and Socrates. Yeah, well, that's good. That's good. There's a Christos conscience of illumination in that doing good for others, doing the best you can to assist. That's a good moral, ethical values. But I gave you a couple minutes to look that over. That's the only reason I stopped and paused and pondered for that period of time. He is created to be an absolute saint, one of the most amazing people that ever existed on the planet. Plane, $2 silver. Huh. Silver dollars. That's pretty cool. Let's bring those back, please. Bring them back. So, in the creation of and different styles of lithography, this is done on another medium, linoleum. And I used to make these in school, but when I started making cash, they kind of booted me out of there. And different styles and types of printing presses, the sizes of these bad boys. They must have made giant books with these. Yeah, let's make a few giant ones. Sounds like fun. Then we can fool everybody. Make them think there were giants here. Yeah, we never see this type of lithography. Just a whole sheet of cashola. Love these stone cuts, the verification, the evidence of what's being said. It just seems so strange to me to be able to do this. Cut the low parts, leave the high parts, ink it up, and make this beautiful piece of unbelievably elaborate art. This is another lithograph. Notice the lines cut into the stone. Amazingly done. And there, again, if you look at the bottom of this, let's take a look real quick here. At the bottom of this, we have, back off, good man. 1849, there we go. Mr. Willent, Professor au Conservatoire by A. Colette. Way to go, eh? Looks good. Looks good, eh? And another lithograph. So yeah, I do bring up Curiosities. Rêver du mat devient musical, military, musical. I don't care if I delete that. I'm just pretty neat stuff. Now let's go grab some pins and some chisels and run out there and do this kind of stuff right now. Musical notes. Fascinating. It appears to be, yes, it is musical notes. I had the impression that this was something else, but it is a score lithographically and done. And as I mentioned earlier, if you take hydrogen peroxide just as an example, or muriatic acid also, and pour it onto limestone, the limestone will become deteriorated and eaten. And so if you bring a positive image and wipe it with muriatic acid or something that will eat the limestone away, it creates the plate that the stone reverse image that's used for printing. The meticulous detail in all of these, and the small writing, and the 3-digit number here, that's interesting. Once again, pause to ponder. I wouldn't mind having a couple of these in the basement. John Wick. And these are a few more than he had. But forms of currency, these are blanks. If you look at these, or I did just now, they are blanks. And so things can be pressed into those. There we have coins. Have a nice day. There we have coins. And again. So the history that we're told, again, is curious. It's curious. And how things are done in our society, why they're done the way they're done, and the result for us as citizens of the great this and that of where we are. We try to hold on to as much as we can. It'd be nice if we could just go into our basement, whip up a few of these buckaroonies, but this lithograph is once again really interesting to see what is done and having a better idea of how it's done or was done in the application of ink, hard roller against the plate to eventually make the prints that we use to inform each other of details and also pay each other and take from and give to each other. Once again, nice little, this is a Revolutionary War cash from obviously 1778, printed by, it's interesting they have the person, Hall and Sell. It looks like Sell's got a dash. Oh, there it is, Sellers. Hall and Sellers, 1778 or 778, depending on what you think. Nice little lithograph. This is cash. Okay, $5. And then the people looking at the mud flood, you've got the older printing press styles and types, and these obvious stone with the etching on the stone. So it does, in my opinion, it was a complicated process to be able to just think, this is on a stone, and it's had ink applied. That's why it's, you know, this fashion. Curious and interesting, in my personal opinion, and how it relates to every one of us in different types of fashions. Now, the printing wasn't always, I mean, it's not done now. Leading to 17th, this is about Benjamin Franklin and the United States. And what we used to use for money, who created the money itself, and the stories that were created for the person who was printing the money. Well, this is the owner of the Federal Reserve, and he did all these amazing things. So that's just the way it was. And he invented electricity. Nobody knew about electricity until that guy came along and flew a kite. So that's important, that people are out there doing everything for everyone. It isn't my job to discount, but it is mine to make you stop for a moment and ponder the details of the past, and especially what we've been told in relation to what we're finding out now. And so this 20-shilling piece, I will leave you, printed by Mr. B. Franklin, the treasury of the time. So, I hope my haphazard production has given you pause to ponder, and I hope you have a wonderful day, afternoon, and evening, Truman. And hopefully I'll be talking to you soon, unless I am taken out by the powers that be. Thanks, and like, comment, and subscribe, and share. and dance up and down on one foot. Thanks for playing.